Hello everyone, welcome to Discover This. I'm Tom Walker. Today we are in the city of El Cajon and we're going to go visit a couple places that have some fairly rich musical history, especially if you're one of those people who believes there's only two kinds of music, country and western. Alright everyone, we are in the Bostonia area of El Cajon and we are about a block or so east of 2nd Street and probably about 3 blocks or so north of Interstate 8 and 2nd Street. And this building here, it's called Royal Palace Banquet Hall. This used to be the Bostonia Ballroom. Now the Bostonia Ballroom, back in its day, was one of the go-to places when bands were making their tours around the country, and they would book places, and there were certain venues around the country that you basically had to stop at and perform at, and the Bostonia Ballroom was one of them. Now over the course of time, this building has been reconfigured, so the front entrance is right over here. But back in the day, the area that we're interested in, the entrance to the Bostonia Ballroom, was right up here by this trash can. You can kind of see the discoloration on the stucco there. This was the entrance right in here. We'll go across and get a better view of it. Now again, this is being used as a banquet hall, so, you know, wedding receptions, birthdays, quinceañeras, that kind of thing. So the Bostonia Ballroom was built in 1932, and in the 40s, 50s, and 60s hosted numerous country and western acts. Some very famous people. We'll rattle off some names here in a minute. But again, this was the front entrance back in the day. This road was not as wide as it was. But you can line up from these older photos where the front door was with those windows. Now from 1952 to 1963, the Bostonia Ballroom was owned and operated by Andrew Cactus Soldi and Eugene Smokey Rogers. Both well-known musicians in their own right, especially in the Southern California area. So even though the Bostonia Ballroom already had a reputation as being a place that bands had to stop and play at, that just added, and they brought in even more people, more of their friends. An old Western swing band leader by the name of Spade Cooley did a number of shows here. The Bostonia Ballroom, back in its heyday, held about 1,500 people. Unfortunately, the interior has been completely remodeled, so all the decorations and painting and things like that are gone. And again, the front's been reconfigured, so that even though this was the front is now where we showed you earlier. So just some of the people who performed here during the day. You might recognize some of these names: Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, George Jones, Jerry Lee Lewis, Hank Snow, Rose Maddox, Eddie Cochran, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, Gene Vincent, Charlie Pride, Bill Monroe, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash played here multiple times. Here's a photo of him on stage here at the Bostonia Ballroom. Roy Acuff, the Louvin Brothers, Marty Robbins, Hank Thompson, Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, Flatt and Scruggs. They all played here. Lefty Frizzell. There's a picture of Lefty Frizzell on stage at the Bostonia Ballroom. Also a young Willie Nelson played here. There's a picture of Willie Nelson here backstage at the Bostonia Ballroom. He's on the left, before the long hair and beard and whatnot. But those are just some of the people that have played here. Another person who played here was a young Chris Hillman in his band, the Scottsville Squirrel Barkers. This was actually, I believe, their first performance was here at the Bostonia Ballroom. Now, interestingly enough, a guy by the name of Sneaky Pete Kleinow was playing in Smokey Rogers' band. And if those of you recall your music history, Chris Hillman and Sneaky Pete Kleinow were both founding members of the Flying Burrito Brothers in the later years. So this building's changed hands over a number of times throughout the years. It's been a Chinese restaurant. It's been a number of things. It's been a banquet hall for many years now. However, last year it was going through another sale, and in October of 2021, a gentleman by the name of Garrett Ware, who's trying to preserve the history of this building, him and some other promoters put together a show just as kind of a remembrance memorial, kind of a concert for the Bostonia Ballroom. And they got a guy by the name of Deke Dickerson. And now, if you're not familiar with Deke Dickerson, I recommend you check him out. You go see his shows when you can. He's a phenomenal musician, guitarist. Deke Dickerson was the headliner for that show. Deke Dickerson in his own right is a music history buff, especially the old country and western type of things. So anyway, they put together this show, and a number of people showed up, and the new owner said he's open to having it rented again for shows like that. So it remains to be seen if they'll be able to do this again or not. One thing I have noticed, though, is there's no any kind of a marker or placard or anything from the city of El Cajon acknowledging the history of this building here, which is a shame. So many great names came through these doors and performed here. You know, it's too bad that they just haven't acknowledged it in some way that I'm aware of anyway. I can't find anything, and there's certainly nothing on the building or nearby acknowledging it. So that's too bad. So this is the Bostonia Ballroom, folks. Now let's go across town to another part of El Cajon and check out another building that has some musical history to it also. Just a better shot of where the front door used to be. Again, lining up with the windows. So many great names came through these doors right here. All right, we are in front of 530 East Main Street, and this was the location of Valley Music for many, many years. In 1952, Cactus Soldi and Smokey Rogers opened Valley Music, catering to not only the people that performed at the Bostonia Ballroom, but just about everyone in the East County area of San Diego. So there's a number of stories of people who became famous and people who were famous that came through the doors here. Now, the building's been reconfigured. It was one big building. Now it's been divided up into multiple shops, but 530, which is where the jewelry store is right there, that was Valley Music. Johnny Cash, one of the times he performed at the Bostonia Ballroom, wanted a new guitar, so it was the middle of the night. The store was closed, obviously, so they came and opened the store. He came in and picked the guitar he wanted, and off they went. Frank Zappa has done interviews where he says the first record player he ever bought was here at Valley Music. Frank Zappa went to high school here in the San Diego area. So another one is Chris Hillman. Chris Hillman grew up in the San Diego area, and he said the first mandolin he ever bought was here at Valley Music. So a lot of musical history here. A lot of people coming and going. A lot of local musicians would hang out here, swap stories, things like that. Unfortunately, another place that I don't believe the city of El Cajon is recognized for its musical history, if nothing else, which is a shame. But the building was here for decades. After Cactus Soldi and Smokey Rogers passed away, Cactus Soldi's children operated the business for a number of years before it finally had to close. So that's Valley Music. So that's going to do it for today, ladies and gentlemen, from El Cajon, California, and our visit to the Bostonia Ballroom and Valley Music, the former sites of. So thank you for watching this video, and we will see you on our next adventure on Discover This.